Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Acts chapter 4, verses 10 through 12. Be it known unto you all, and to all the people of Israel, that by the name of Yeshua the Mashiach of Nazareth, whom you crucified, whom Elohim raised from the dead, even by him do this man stand here before you whole. This is the stone which was set at naught of you builders, which is become the head of the corner. Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under the heaven given among men, whereby we must be saved.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, there is no other name.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you up on earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 through 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us in this body of Yahshua. When we consider that Yahweh has set forth a family and brought forth that family and created a nation with them, there were certain periods of growth that had to come about, and there were certain things that had to be accomplished at certain times. Once Israel gets to the place where Yahweh can then set up a true house for his name, then there must be a lot of duties that are passed out at that point. So we're going to deal with after the children of Israel has asked for a king. Yahweh has given them a king, even though he was not ready to give them a king. That king, of course, had to be removed. Then he chose Dawid, a man after his own heart. Now, that job of being king brought forth a lot of responsibilities. The king's job was to secure the kingdom for Yahweh, which means that a lot of blood was shed by King David. And him having the desire to build Yahweh's house, but because of the blood, he was not able to. So another arrangement had to be made. Now, King Solomon was charged with building a house for Yahweh our Elohim. His father had it in his heart to build a house for his creator, but because of the blood that David spilled, he was not allowed to build a house. The house was designed to be exceeding magnificent, as it is written. Carvings of cherubims, palm trees, and flowers, all covered in gold. doors of olive trees, and windows for the light. In an average house, windows are furnished accordingly as needed. In an exceeding magnificent house, how many more windows must be furnished for the light thereof? Let's begin today's sermon in 2 Samuel chapter 16. 2 Samuel chapter 16, and we're going to start that at verse 1. Now, even with all the greatness that King David had, there was an indiscretion that he made in desiring something that he should not have desired. But this also goes to why we have dress code. Solomon was born or conceived right after David's indiscretion. So you have to consider the nature of the spirit that David was entertaining when this child was conceived. So that's one thing. But David was in a place where he should not have been. He was on top of a roof at the time when the men go forth to war. He was convinced not to go to war with the rest of the people because he was so valuable. Being that way, he ended up seeing a woman bathing. He ended up seeing some things that he should not have seen. At that point, he was not able to get that image out of his head, and it caused him to sin greatly. So when we go by and say that, hey, we have a dress code, people often don't see the righteousness and what that's for. Do you think David would have gone after this woman if he had not seen something that he should not have seen? He had a kingdom full of women there. He had never gone after anything else, but he seen something that he should not have witnessed. And at that point, the sin is driving him. So when people say, you know what, I don't like having rules of this, it's because sometimes we don't understand the why. What is that there for? Sometimes our feelings get in the way and we let the feelings drive us. But here is a man who would have been just had a perfect record with Yahweh. Had he not seen something he had no business seeing. And everything flows after that. Because when he saw what he shouldn't have saw, he did what he shouldn't have did. And it just kept going. And after that, now he's trying to fix what he has done. And it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So if we back up and look at those things, if we're going to fix that situation with us, we have to back up and say, okay, how did he get into it? Not what all happened within the individual parts of discipline. No. How did he get into it? Okay, now let's make sure we don't go right there. It was understood that our people had a dress code. That was a normal thing. But then there's other times that we may be doing other things and we let some of that slip and we don't consider how much sin we could be causing in that little small movement that we made right there. 2 Samuel chapter 16, and let's start that at verse 1.
And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him, with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine.
Now, understand, at this point, because of the indiscretion that he has made, he has, at this point, caused some judgment to come in his house. And with that judgment, this blood shall never leave his house. Now his own son has come against him. This is a man of war here. And he's leaving the city to keep from truly battling with his son. This is a very humbling situation when you talk about an individual who has his whole job as a king was to bring the kingdom together. All he did was go to war, but he don't want to go to war with his son. Go ahead.
And the king said unto Ziba, What mean you by these? And Ziba said, The asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. And the king said, And where is your master's son? And Ziba said unto the king, Behold, he abides at Jerusalem. For he said, Today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. Then said the king to Ziba, Behold, you are all that pertained unto Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beseech you that I may find grace in your sight, my master, O king. And when King David came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came.
Now, you understand why he would have a motivation to curse David. He was connected to Saul, and Saul was the previous king who got removed. So now, because of connections and whatnot, he has a problem with who Yahweh has chosen. And right as he's going through this thing, this is his perfect opportunity to show his disdain or how he feels. You have to be careful about those feelings, because what Yahweh will do is create the perfect situation for you to utter all your mind. So now it looks like David is, finally Mr. War all the time. And they sing when he come home. Oh, now he marching out. Now it seems like the perfect time to say all that's on your mind. We never considered, but what if Yahweh restore him? But you done uttered all your mind now. Go ahead.
And he cast stones at David and at all the servants of King David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left.
So he got mighty men, we talking warriors, and we got an individual by himself throwing stones and cursing. And understand, a curse is not that thing that we accustomed to. We think a bad word is a curse. No, a curse is when you are saying something is going to befall somebody. When it's saying we'll think the word damn is a curse. No. When it says you will be damned. No. Say now you're bringing forth an action on an individual. That is a curse. A curse requires an ending action to it that's not good. So he's saying, you bloody man. Now understand, that it was his job to shed blood to bring forth the kingdom. He had to build this kingdom. Therefore, that's why that blood couldn't be in Yahweh's house. There's a difference between the blood of war and the blood of sacrifice. The priest bloody men, but that's not war blood though. That's different kind of blood. Don't get the blood mixed up. Priests shed blood all the time. They was making offerings. But David shed a different kind of blood. It was the blood of war. He couldn't mix those two different things of blood in his house. Go ahead.
And thus said Shimei when he cursed, Come out, you bloody man, and you man of Belial. Yahweh has returned upon you all the blood of the house of Saul.
So he wants judgment for a wicked man's house because the wicked man close to him. Is that not us still to this day? Let us think that, this our friend. So we want something righteous for a wicked individual. Wasn't that good finna happen for Saul? He couldn't follow his instructions. But that was also the king that the people asked for. So you got this thing that the people want. And Yahweh sometimes have to show the people. Sometimes it's the same thing when you have a kid and the kid is begging for something and the kid swear you don't know nothing. So sometimes you got to explain to the kid by letting them fall on their face. You know what? You so bright. I tell you what, go ahead. No. Go ahead. I done told you 5 times not to get on that bicycle and there's ice. I tell you what, go ahead. No, go ahead. Here you go. There go the bicycle right there. Go ahead. Baby, go and get the bandages. Go and get the bandages. Because this boy right here just won't listen. Go and get the bandages. I know you're not going to let him. Yeah, he asked me too many times. I'm going to let him go. Why you going to let him do it? Because he got to learn. And he going to learn today. And get Grady on the phone. Get Grady Hospital. Get him on the line so they can help us and tell us what we need to do when that boy head pop open. But he going to learn today. Yahweh did the same thing. Did he not tell us it is not good? He said, tell them again what will befall them if they do this. They said, no, but we will have it. He said, okay. Give them a king. Okay. Sometimes when you have those that refuse to listen, go ahead and give them what they ask for. And just stand by with the bandages. Go ahead.
In whose stead you have reigned. And Yahweh has delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom your son.
Oh, I mean, now the wickedness of Absalom is now connected with Saul. Now you see how we mix things. The wickedness of Absalom got something to do with what he did with that man's wife. But you see, when we want something to happen, we'll connect that any kind of way we want to connect it to fit how we feeling, our feelings. So he all in his feelings. See, men don't like to admit that they have feelings, but these mealings, these man feelings going on right here. See, it's all mealings happening right here. So it's mealings being yelled across right here. And now he done connected some things that ain't got nothing to do with each other. Go ahead.
And behold, you're taken in your mischief, because you are a bloody man. Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my master the king? Let me go over, I pray you, and take off his head.
Now, this is the real power in a king, knowing that he has mighty men that automatically will say, man, let me go over there and I'll bring his head to you. The same mouth that cursed, I'm going to put it in a bag. And I'm going to bring that mouth right there and you'll be able to look at it. Go ahead.
And the king said, what have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because Yahweh has said unto him, curse Dawid. Who shall then say, wherefore have you done so?
If that ain't a confusing statement, I don't know what is. But Yahweh did say that he will meet a man according to what's in his heart. So he said, yeah, Yahweh will tell him, go ahead and curse him. Then when he done, now why did you curse my servant? You told me to. Go ahead.
And Dawid said to Abishai, and to all his servants, behold, my son, which came forth out of my bowels, seeks my life.
There can be no greater hurt than that. See? But Yahweh need to make him feel what he did. There can be no greater hurt than your own son want to kill. It's one thing when your enemies want to kill you, man. You don't expect nothing good from your enemies. That's why they call enemies. But you don't expect the individual who's trying to kill you to be your son. What else can make a mighty man with his mighty soldiers march out of a mighty city? Go ahead.
How much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone, and let him curse, for Yahweh has bidden him. It may be that Yahweh will look on mine affliction, and that Yahweh will requite me good for his cursing this day. And as Dawid and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hillside over against him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust.
Now he's very he didn't just like say something one time. This is an ongoing situation. Go ahead.
And the king and all the people that were with him came weary and refreshed themselves there. And Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. And it came to pass, when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, was come unto Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, Elohim save the king, Elohim save the king. And Absalom said to Hushai, is this your kindness to your friend? Why went you not with your friend? And Hushai said unto Absalom, no, but whom Yahweh and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him will I abide.
And you know, there's certain people that this is how they operate. They are the friend of whoever in charge. No matter how wicked they may be. Go ahead.
And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in your father's presence, so will I be in your presence. Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, give counsel among you what we shall do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, go in unto your father's concubines, which he has left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that you art abhorred of your father. Then shall the hands of all that are with you be strong.
It is some real strange advice anyway, but part of the reason what this does is to say that you are the king is that you possess something that was his. So understand what happens if you sit down and watch the animal kingdom. You'll notice something in how them lions operate. Another lion just coming and he go in and take a pee in that land. Oh no. He making a statement. And let me tell you something, a war about to go down. Because if he let that slide, when he does come in and invade that land, he killing all the offspring. So that he can create his own. So the war jumps off just at the simple fact of him entering into that area and putting his sin in it. So this whole part of being with the concubines, this is a young lion putting his scent in their daddy land. Go ahead.
So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel.
Now, Yahweh did tell him, he said to Dawid, you have done this thing in secret, but I would do this thing all in front of Israel. So even this, the bad information, all of it, this is all part of Yahweh's doing. Because Dawid has to deal with the judgment of what he has done, but it's coming through another situation. Now you see how easy these things can be intertwined, that you think one thing is connected to who this man didn't like. He really liked Saul because Saul was a Benjamite. He liked the man who was a king that was from his tribe. If your tribe is the tribe of the kings, understand that works well for your entire tribe. So personal reasons have him wanting to curse Dawid. But it's different things going on right here. And you got to be careful how you see what you see and how you hear what you hear. Go ahead.
And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of Elohim. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with Dawid and with Absalom.
All right. Now, the question we have to get to is, why was this even a thing or a big thing that this man cursed Dawid? I want you to go and read the next graphic and read the definition there.
Yohanan chapter 10 and verse 34. Yahshua answered them, is it not written in your law? I said, you are gods.
Now, for the longest, that always confused me because you're like, okay, so where in the law it said we gods? Because I ain't went across that one. I done read the law a few times. I definitely must be missing something, But go to the next graphic because I want you to read this part as well.
Exodus chapter 22 and verse 28. Mm-hmm. You shall not revile the gods.
Wait a minute. This is getting strange too. You shall not revile the God. Wait a minute. We ain't supposed to even mention no names of other gods. What are you talking about? Revile the gods. Go ahead.
Nor curse the ruler of your people.
Now, we have to then understand how this word God is used in the very term of revile the gods. So go ahead and go to the next graphic for me.
Revile the gods from H430, plural of H433. Gods in the ordinary sense.
Wait, why is there an ordinary sense of gods? Go ahead.
But specifically used in the plural thus, especially with the article of the supreme God or the supreme El, occasionally applied by way of difference to magistrates.
Wait a minute. Now he's talking about rulers. Go ahead.
And sometimes as a superlative, angels.
Oh, okay. So then there are lower level of gods. There's a God, capital G, and there's a God, little g. You little g. Don't ever think you big G. Don't ever think, no matter what I'm saying, don't you ever, if you just tuned in right now at this moment, don't ever think you Big G. All right? Don't ever think you Big G. All right? You little G. No matter how old you, if you live to be 1,000, you still little G. All right? Don't ever think you're going to be Big G. So, right here, you then have this part where there's a lower level of God as far as magistrates and people that he has put in order. Now let's go to Acts chapter 23. Sometimes you got to pick a few things apart before you can get where something is coming from. Acts 23, and we're going to read verses 1 through 5.
And Saul, earnestly beholding the council, said, Men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before Elohim until this day. And the high priest Ananias commanded them that stood by him to smite him on the mouth. Then said Saul unto him, Elohim shall smite you, you whited wall, for sitteth you to judge me after the law, and commandeth me to be smitten contrary to the law?
Now, he spoke all of his mind because he don't understand who he talking to. Go ahead.
And they that stood by said, Revile you Elohim's high priest?
You shall not revile the gods. Wait a minute. Gods, in a sense, of the magistrates and rulers who reign over you. Keep reading.
Then said Saul, I knew not, brethren, that he was the high priest, for it is written,
And then he goes right back to the law. Go ahead.
You shall not speak evil of the ruler of your people.
Okay, so now when you understand the level of what Yahshua was saying, connect that to the cursing that has happened against Dawid. Now you understand the power of what was said. Now let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 19. See, sometimes you may not understand the power of something until you go around in a few other places and examine what's written. Second Samuel chapter 19, and let's start that at verse 1.
And it was told Joab, Behold, the king weeps and mourns for Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son.
So the son who has caused him to go through all of these things, here Absalom has now been killed, and Dawid is in mourning for what has happened to his son. But he is in so much mourning that he is forgetting his job as the leader of Israel. Go ahead.
And the people gat them by stealth that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son. And Joab came into the house to the king, and said, You have shamed this day the face of all your servants, which this day have saved your life, and the lives of your sons and of your daughters, and the lives of your wives, and the lives of your concubines, in that you love your enemies and hate your friends. For you had declared this day that you regard neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived and all we had died this day, then it had pleased you well. Now therefore arise, go forth, and speak comfortably unto your servants. For I swear by Yahweh, if you go not forth, there will not tarry one with you this night. And that will be worse unto you than all the evil that befell you from your youth until now.
Now, Joab ain't no good man, but I tell you what, even a bad spring can bring forth good water every now and then. That good advice. Go ahead.
Then the king arose and sat in the gate. And they told unto the people, saying, Behold, the king does sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent.
See, this is the power of having alpha males around you. See, whenever you got alpha males, there's going to be some altercations, because That's how alpha males do. Sometimes, if you look at a pack of alphas, it might look like they fighting. That's just how they greet one another. They rough like that. But having some alphas in your presence is good, because see, the alpha walked up to another alpha. Hey man, I'm telling you now, you don't straighten this out, you're gonna be the king of not a thing. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? See, it's good to have. Now, what if he got a bunch of yes men? What if this was a yes man? Everything you do is right. Everything you do is right and righteous and good. It don't matter you go on in there and cry, man. Do your thing. You the king, dog. Do it. Be a king then. Now, what happens if he's surrounded by yes men? See, this is the power of having some alphas around you. Sometimes alphas fight. That don't mean that they hate each other. This is what alphas do. Go ahead.
And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, the king saved us out of the hand of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines. And now he is fled out of the land for Absalom. And Absalom, whom we anointed for us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why speak you not a word of bringing the king back?
Now this is the humbling part. When people have already shown themselves because of a situation, they have made some decisions, and trust me, Yahweh will put you in a position to show yourself. Now, after you realize it was not correct, what do? Do you just stay out there? And I've watched many people do it. They stay out there because they can't humble themselves and say, hey, look, I made a decision and that was the wrong decision. Mm-hmm. So they'll just stay wrong, stay out in the cold. They know where to warm at. They know where, what the whole base of the kingdom at. No, I can't do that, because then I'm going to have to admit that I was wrong. Go ahead.
And King David sent to Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, saying, speak unto the elders of Yehuda, saying, why are you the last to bring the king back to his house? Seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to his house. You are my brethren, you are my bones and my flesh. Wherefore then are you the last to bring back the king? And say you to Amasa, are you not of my bone and of my flesh? Elohim do so to me, and more also, if you be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. And he bowed the heart of all the men of Yehuda, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, return you and all your servants. So the king returned and came to Jordan, and Yehuda came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan. And Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, which was of Beharim, hasted and came down with the men of Yehuda to meet King Dawid. And
now this is the same man who cursed and threw rocks, and one of the mighty men wanted to go ahead and take care of everything from his shoulders up. Go ahead.
And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons, and his 20 servants with him. And they went over Jordan before the king. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought good. And Shimei the son of Gera fell down before the king as he was come over Jordan, and said unto the king, let not my master impute lawlessness unto me. Neither do you remember that which your servant did perversely the day that my master the king went out to Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart.
Now, he done already uttered all his heart. He know exactly what he feel about it. But without that situation, he would not have known. So sometimes Yahweh brings forth situations that it may look like you supposed to lose. That situation is being brought forth so some of those people around you can utter all their mind. Because they're not going to utter all their mind as long as you're still in your strength. They're not going to utter all their mind as long as you are in your power. They have to believe that you lost it. So that means when you're trying to pray for Yahweh to restore you, he can't right now. Because then he going to mess up. He going to mess up the play. Look, they're going to know you're not fully done if I answer this prayer right now. So I need to leave you out there. Matter of fact, I need for you to believe that you're done. Because because you going to sell this fake. I'm throwing a fake, and you going to sell it because you going to believe it too. Go ahead.
For your servant does know that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first this day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my master the king. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered and said, shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed Yahweh's anointed?
Now, hey, this is where you got to, hey, there's another alpha in the room. Hey, man, look, I got a mantle that his head would sit right nice on. Come on, man. Come on. You remember all them words? Come on, he was very wordy. He was very wordy. I remember rocks and everything. Just all you got to do is just step aside. I take care of everything. Everything. I make sure the body get carried out and everything. Just step aside. All I need you to do, 2 steps to the left. And I got this. It was hard for this mighty man to even watch his king be cursed. It was hard for him to watch. Go ahead.
And Dawid said, what have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you should this day be adversaries unto me? Shall there any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? Therefore the king said unto Shimei, you shall not die. And the king sware unto him. And Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes, from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. And it came to pass, when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that the king said unto him, wherefore went not you with me, Mephibosheth? And he answered, my master, O king, my servant deceived me. For your servant said, I'll saddle me an ass, that I may ride thereon, and go to the king, because your servant is lame. And he has slandered your servant unto my master the king.
And he did. See, this is one of the things that you have to be careful about, listening to everything that comes out of somebody's mouth, especially during time of turmoil. Go ahead.
But my master the king is as an angel of Elohim. Do therefore what is good in your eyes. For all of my father's house were but dead men before my master the king. Yet did you set your servant among them that did eat at your own table. What right therefore have I yet to cry any more unto the king? And the king said unto him, why speak you any more of your matters? I have said, you and Zibiah divide the land.
All right. So the king has pardoned him for the curse. Let's go now to 1 Kings chapter 2. First Kings chapter 2, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Now the days of Dawid drew near that he should die, and he charged Shlomo his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be you strong, therefore, and show yourself a man, and keep the charges of Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his judgments, and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moshe, that you may prosper in all that you does, and whithersoever you turneth yourself. That Yahweh may continue his word which he spake concerning me, saying, if your children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail you, said he, a man on the throne of Israel. Moreover, you know also what Joab the son of Zeruiah did to me, and what he did to the 2 captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner the son of Ner, and unto Amasa the son of Jether, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet.
Right. Now, how he got into this situation, hey, one of them hurt one of his family, and when the peace came, he didn't want to let it go. He said, no, I got to get some get back. See, when Yahweh proclaims war, then all bloodshed at that point on the battlefield is fair game. When Yahweh proclaims peace, if that peace is at 2 o'clock, Any blood that's shed at 201 must be judged. He has declared peace, and you decided you wanted to keep war because you had your own objective that you needed to accomplish. That had to be dealt with. Go ahead.
You know, you got to think about the situation where the angel was slaughtering, and he said, "Stay your hand." When he said, "Stay your hand," it stopped right there.
The angel didn't go not 1 inch further. But see, not us. See, we got our own other things happening. Once Yahweh said it's over, it's over. I don't care what you were thinking. I don't care how angry you are at what the individual did for you or did to you or did to your family. Yahweh said this is over. Swing one more time. Go ahead, you bad. Come on, Cletus. Swing. You're going to learn today. Go ahead.
Do therefore according to your wisdom, and let not his hoar head go down to the grave in peace.
Uh-oh.
But show kindness.
He had peace as long as Dawid was alive. Now, you got to start connecting some of this. Now, what happens when the city of refuge? Then you leave that person alone until the death of the high priest. Mm-hmm. He said, look here, he had peace the whole time I'm living, but look here, it look like I'm about to go away from here. Look here, let me give you some business to take care of. He should have died before me. Go ahead.
But show kindness unto the sons of Barzillai the Gileadite, and let them be of those that eat at your table, for so they came to me when I fled because of Absalom your brother.
Uh-huh.
And behold, you have with you Shimei the son of Gera, a Benjamite of Beharim, which cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Mahanaim.
All right, so now here comes the individual who was cursed. Now he told him, all right, you know, I'm going to let you live. So you actually see several things of mercy here. And we're going to deal with the blood that Joab shed and why that has to be dealt with. All right? Because that's a little different than this situation. See? Go ahead.
You know, we just went over the Barzillai, the Gileadites in Bible study.
Uh-huh.
And we can understand why they thought they were to be counted, because now you're sitting close to the king's table.
Right.
So they actually thought they were in there somewhere, and it's like, nah, you really ain't who you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
But he came down to meet me at Jordan, and I swear to him by Yahweh, saying, I will not put you to death with the sword. Now therefore, hold him not guiltless, for you are a wise man, and knoweth what you ought to do unto him.
Now, he told him as far as Joab, hey, take care of that business. He did not give him straight instructions to kill this man who had cursed him, even though the law said you shall not curse the ruler of your people. But he didn't tell him that. All right, keep reading.
But his hoar head bring you down to the grave with blood.
Mm-hmm.
So Dawid slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of Dawid. In the days of Dawid, and the days that Dawid reigned over Israel were 40 years. 7 years reigned he in Hebron, and 33 years reigned he in Jerusalem.
Now, correction. Slow-mo gonna do this in sections. Keep reading.
Then sat Shlomo upon the throne of Dawid his father, and his kingdom was established greatly. And Adoniah the son of Haggith came to Bathsheba, the mother of Shlomo. And she said, Come you peaceably? And he said, Peaceably. He said, Moreover, I have somewhat to say unto you. And she said, Say on. And he said, You know that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their faces on me.
That don't mean the kingdom was yours. The kingdom belongs to who Yahweh said it belonged to. But sometimes folks is running a popularity contest, and they think that when they run their popularity contest, that Yahweh is connected to their popularity vote. None of that means anything to him. I don't care how many votes or how many secret votes you run. It was never yours. Go ahead.
You know, but that's the whole trick. You talk about a popularity contest. We the people, every time we vote for one of these people to get into an office, as far as president,
right?
That's all your vote is. It's the popularity vote. And then everybody's upset when somebody else goes in. If
right.
you understand the rules of engagement, then you shouldn't be upset.
Look,
They
the
gonna
popular
put-
vote don't never work.
Exactly.
And then then still here we go. We be upset. Well, more of us voted for that one. Yeah. You don't know about the electoral college, huh? Yeah, he won all these, but he didn't get but 2 votes. He won a state that didn't nobody even know existed. Like, where this state come from? Where is it? When this state joined the union? So you do all that. You got 500,000 votes, and they got 2 votes. Jack, you wasted your time. So we still thinking that popularity thing, and it don't mean nothing to Yahweh. Because what you have to do when Yahweh is in the midst is make sure that he's the only one who gets pleased. Everybody else get pleased after that. I don't care how popular you are amongst the people. The people asked for Saul, and Yahweh couldn't stand him. So talking about the popular vote don't mean nothing. But this is how we operate, especially when we feel some kind of way about something. We go around other people. How you feel about that? You know what I see now? We got the popular vote. We all don't like him. So they figure if they don't like him, Yahweh don't like him either. Bad mood, Jack. Bad mood. Go ahead.
You know, even with Saul, people ain't choose him. Yahweh said that's him.
Hey. They were pleased though when they saw him, wasn't it?
Look at me. Yeah, tall. He look like a warrior.
That was the scariest big knuckle you have ever seen in your life. Every time you turn around, he was scared of something else. But he looked like a warrior though. And that's what they wanted. They wanted a warrior-looking brother. That's why they didn't think Dawid. I mean, come on, man. Not him. You talking about the little dude? Little man? Nah, the dude with the sheep. Playing the harp. Come on, bro. No, we want a king. We want a man's man. We want a soldier. You know what I'm saying? We don't want this dude. Yahweh said, I don't look at men the way you look at me. So that tells us one thing. The popular vote don't mean jack. Mm-hmm. If he don't look how you look, what you looking at don't mean jack. That's not what he looking at. So you may think you know, okay, this is who Yahweh gonna choose. Yahweh not looking the way you looking. Yahweh can see something you can't see. Mm-hmm. That's why folks get surprised every time Yahweh make a move. Because they was looking at the outward man and Yahweh was looking at the inner man. Go ahead.
You know that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their faces on me, that I should reign. Howbeit the kingdom is turned about, and has become my brother's, for it was his from Yahweh.
Now, here's my problem. A fool will say out of his mouth. Do you understand that this was 2 different things that came out of the same mouth? You know it was mine.
But it was his from Yahweh.
What is wrong with you? What has to be wrong with you? But see, this is how arrogance and self-entitlement makes you believe that it really was yours. If it was his from Yahweh, it was never yours. Mm-hmm. You were never going to get it, not for an hour, not for a minute. It was never yours. Go ahead.
And now I ask one petition of you, deny me not. And she said unto him, say on. And he said, speak, I pray you unto Shlomo the king, for he will not say you no, that he give me Abishag the Shunammite to wife.
Now, understanding that, Adonai also wants to be king and tried to proclaim himself king. Now, just like what was happening before, the other brother was told, go in unto the concubines. Because when you possess something that was the king's, it then shows that it was given unto you. Now, Abishag was the woman who had lain with King David when he was cold to get him heat. Now, he specifically wants this woman as a future claim to the throne. Now, the mama don't understand these politics, but a lion understand. He trying to piss in my land. Turn on National Geographic and watch what happened. There ain't no whole bunch of talking. Wait, did he win? It going down. Ain't no whole bunch of stuff going. No. I know what I smell. I know what just happened. The wind brought it forth. It's about to go down today. He gonna learn today. Go ahead.
And Bathsheba said, well, I'll speak for you unto the king. Bathsheba therefore went on to King Shlomo to speak unto him for Adonijah. And the king rose up to meet her and bowed himself unto her and sat down on his throne and caused a seat to be set for the king's mother. And she sat on his right hand. Then she said, I desire one small petition of you. I pray you, say me no. And the king said unto her, ask on, my mother, for I will not say you no.
And I will never tell somebody that I will not say no before they tell me what it is. Don't you ever do that. That is a bad situation to ever get yourself in. Go ahead.
And she said, let Abishag the Shunammite be given to Adonijah your brother to wife. And King Shlomo answered and said unto his mother, and why do you ask Abishag the Shunammite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also.
Ask for him the kingdom also. If you're going to give him her, you might as well give him. Do you not understand what this means? Do you not understand that sooner or later he's going to challenge my seat? And then he went to my mama to ask? Go ahead.
For he's mine elder brother, even for him and for Abiathar the priest, and for Joab the son of Zeruiah.
Right, you might well go ahead and ask for him the priest too. Go ahead and send him a court. Go ahead.
Then King Shlomo swore by Yahweh, saying, Elohim do so to me, and more also, if Adonijah have not spoken this word against his own life.
He whizzed in his land. Go ahead.
Now therefore, as Yahweh lives, which has established me and set me on the throne of David my father, and who has made me an house, as he promised, Adonijah shall be put to death this day.
Now, don't forget, now Judah is the lion tribe. So I know I'm making these lion references, and some of y'all ain't getting it. Some of y'all are like, why you keep talking about the National Geographic and the animal kingdom? This lion tribe, have you ever just sat down and watched how lions operate? And don't get it twisted now. Some of the most fierce individuals in the lion tribe ain't men. I hope you understand. I hope you paying attention. Get in the wrong situation with a few lionesses. Man, I watched one of them things the other day. It was amazing. 3 lionesses together. One of them had some cubs. And a lion got too close to the cubs. So 2 of the lionesses went to move him out the way. Never seen anything like it in my life. The lionesses would plop against the ground. So they push their scent toward him. He'll turn toward one, then the other one will plop on the ground. And I mean, they turning their back to him. So you know what they teasing him with. And he's so confused, he going back and forth, looking at both of them. He just a regular stupid knuckle. So he just going back. He don't know what to do. And they just keep plopping on the ground. Dust shooting up. He's like, ooh. And he all out there, right? Meanwhile, lioness number 3 done moved all 5 cubs. Once she moved cub number 5, all 3 of the lionesses turned on him, whooped his tail. He got the hell on. Okay, keep playing. The lion tribe works both ways. All right, don't get it twisted. Know with whom you are dealing. Go ahead.
And King Shlomo sent by the hand of Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and he fell upon him that he died. And unto Abiathar the priest said the king, get you unto Anatoth, unto your own fields, for you are worthy of death. But I'll not at this time put you to death, because you bear the ark of Yahweh Elohim before David my father, because you have been afflicted in all where my father was afflicted.
So your previous service is going to help you right now, because you should be killed. That's why I be telling folks, you might want to get a job. When Aaron went and did some of the stuff that he had done, don't make no sense why he was not there with his sister. Don't make no sense why he didn't get done in. Hey, Who made that golden calf? It just came out. Go ahead.
So Shlomo thrust out Abiathar from being priest unto Yahweh, that he might fulfill the word of Yahweh, which he spake concerning the house of Eli in Shiloh. Then tidings came to Joab, for Joab had turned after Adoniah, though he turned not after Absalom. And Joab fled unto the tabernacle of Yahweh, and caught hold on the horns of the altar. And it was told King Shlomo that Joab was fled unto the tabernacle of Yahweh, and behold, he is by the altar. Then Shlomo sent Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, saying, Go, fall upon him. And Benaiah came to the tabernacle of Yahweh, and said unto him, Thus says the king, Come forth. And he said, No, but I will die here. And Benaiah brought the king word again, saying, Thus said Joab, and thus he answered me. And the king said unto him, Do as he has said, and fall upon him, and bury him, that you may take away the innocent blood which Joab shed from me and from the house of my father.
Now, this is where things get interesting, because it says, do as he has said, and fall upon him, and bury him, that you may take away the innocent blood which Joab shed from me and from the house of my father. What happened? David was king when Joab shed that innocent blood. Now, at this point, you have to consider some things. He has to consider his son's future reign. And atonement must be made. And we're going to get back to that. Keep going.
And Yahweh shall return his blood upon his own head, who fell upon 2 men more righteous and better than he, and slew them with the sword, my father David not knowing thereof, to wit, Abner the son of Ner, captain of the host of Israel, and Amasa the son of Yether, captain of the host of Yehuda. Their blood shall therefore return upon the head of Joab, and upon the head of his seed forever.
All right, so then that blood then transfers and goes among the seed of who has committed that. But until then, it sits on the ruler. So now you got to consider something. If the person in charge does not deal with certain things, then that blood is transferred to him, even though he's not the one who shed it, but he's the one in control. You have to take that same thought process as being in charge of a house. You may be responsible for some things that you did not do. Why? Because you're the head of the house. You're the one in charge. Go ahead.
But upon David, and upon his seed, and upon his house, and upon his throne shall there be peace forever from Yahweh. So Benaiah the son of Jehoiada went up, and fell upon him, and slew him, and he was buried in his own house in the wilderness. And the king put Benaiah the son of Jehoiada in his room over the host, and Zadok the priest did the king put in the room of Abiathar. And the king sent and called for Shimei, and said unto him, Build you an house in Jerusalem, and dwell there, and go not forth thence any whither. For it shall be that on the day that you goeth out, and passes over the brook Kidron, you shall know for certain that you shall surely die. Your blood shall be upon your own head.
Now, so it has been told him, all right, you curse my father, but look, go over here, stay over here, don't come out. Go ahead.
And Shimei said unto the king, The saying is good. As my master the king has said, so will your servant do. And Shimei dwelt in Jerusalem many days. And it came to pass at the end of 3 years, that 2 of the servants of Shimei ran away unto Achish, son of Maacah, king of Gath. And they told Shimei, saying, Behold, your servants be in Gath. And Shimei arose, and saddled his ass, and went to Gath to Achish to seek his servants. And Shimei went, and brought his servants from Gath.
It was a bad move. It's a bad move. You should have sent somebody to go get somebody. Go ahead.
And it was told Shlomo that Shimei had gone from Jerusalem to Gath, and was come again.
Now, so at this point, now he's about to have to deal with him. Go ahead.
And the king sent and called for Shimei, and said unto him, Did I not make you to swear by Yahweh, and protested unto you, saying, Know for certain, on the day you go out, and walketh abroad any whither, that you shall surely die? And you did, and you said it unto me, the word that I heard is good.
Uh-huh.
Why then have you not kept the oath of Yahweh and the commandment that I have charged you with? The king said moreover to Shimei, you knoweth all the wickedness which your heart is privy to, that you did it to David my father. Therefore Yahweh shall return your wickedness upon your own head.
Uh-huh.
And King Shlomo shall be blessed, and the throne of David shall be established before Yahweh forever. So the king commanded Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, which went out and fell upon him, that he died, and the kingdom was established in the hand of Shlomo.
Now, he had an opportunity to not have that happen. All he had to do was stay there. Solomon actually gave him an opportunity. But let's see why certain things have to be dealt with. Let's go to Numbers chapter 35. If he had stayed put, he would have been all right. Numbers chapter 35, verse 24. But when Yahweh wants something to be dealt with, he couldn't possibly stay put. Yahweh probably made the servant run. Numbers 35, and let's start that at verse 24.
Then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments. And the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, and the congregation will restore him to the city of his refuge, whither he was fled. And he shall abide in it unto the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the holy oil.
Right. So when a grave situation has happened, you have to go and live in a city of refuge. He gave this man a city of refuge. And it doesn't matter. You can't come back with an excuse as to why you left the city of refuge. Ain't no excuses. You stay there into the death of the high priest. Even in the protection that was given unto the other individual, that everything was up into the point of David's death. That protection in the city of refuge is given unto the death of the high priest. So at somebody's death, some things about to change. Go ahead.
But if the slayer shall at any time come without the border of the city of his refuge, whether he was fled, and the avenger of blood find him without the borders of the city of his refuge, and the revenger of blood kill the slayer, he shall not be guilty of blood. But because he should have remained in the city of his refuge until the death of the high priest, but rather the death of the high priest, after the death of the high priest, the slayer shall return into the land of his possession. So these things shall be for a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Whoso kills any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die.
When Yahweh said the war was over, whatever happened after that was murder. When he ended the war, what happens after that is murder. You're going to have to answer for that. You can't merge that into all the things that happened in war. No, they're not together. In your mind, they're together. They are not together. That murder you did after 201 was separate. You might have killed 50 men during the war. None of that is accounted unto you. Just that one you did at 201. Go ahead.
Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death. And you shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defiles the land.
Wait a minute. Blood defiles the land. Now, keep reading.
And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it.
All right. So, to make atonement for the land, the one who shed the blood must shed blood for that land to be cleansed. Go ahead.
Defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Israel.
Okay, so if the innocent blood is not atoned for, it follows that family until atonement takes place. David was a man of war, so blood did not bother him. But to give his son a chance at peace, that innocent blood that was shed must be atoned for. This is why he was given orders. All right, you need to go take care of this. You're not a man of war like I am. You don't want blood chasing you like I have had to deal with. These men have committed some things. For you to have peace and for the blood not to follow you and our family forever, you got to make atonement for it. But he gave those men grace as long as he was alive. But if he let that slide, that blood chases Slow-Mo. Slow-Mo didn't even shed the blood. What I got to do with this? You the king. So all I didn't take care of is now your responsibility. These men have had grace. Their grace period is over. Go ahead, bro.
You know, and these men have also shown that as a mighty man that David was, they have already lifted their hands up several times against him. Mm-hmm. We know you ain't no warrior. Daddy ain't here to protect you.
Right. So you might want to establish some things coming out the gate. Because, you know, we go through all of the more difficult things in life so that our children don't have to. But oftentimes, them children, we do all these things to keep our kids out of the street. And the first thing they do, as soon as you get in,
I want to go hang out in the streets.
man, you know how much I went through so you wouldn't hang out in the street? You look up, they right there in the streets that you done did all this stuff to keep them out of. Now they fascinated by it. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 9. 1 Kings chapter 9, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
And it came to pass when Slow-Mo had finished the building of the house of Yahweh and the king's house and all Slow-Mo's desire which he was pleased to do.
Now, I tell people constantly, there is a real danger in being finished working. I keep saying it, and folk think I just be talking. I'm telling you, being finished working. I mean, even a decent individual, when they got in trouble on something, said, what happened? Man, you know, after work, I was at the bar. There it is. There it is. There it is. Now, why wasn't you at the bar before that? Oh, because I was at work. There it is. You should have probably turned around and went back to work. Go ahead.
The Yahweh appeared to Slow-Mo the second time, as he had appeared unto him at Gibeon. And Yahweh said unto him, I have heard your prayer and your supplication that you have made before me. I have hallowed this house which you have built, to put my name there forever. And mine eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. And if you will walk before me, as David your father walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded you, and will keep my statutes and my judgments, then I'll establish the throne of your kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David your father, saying, there shall not fail you a man upon the throne of Israel. But if you shall at all turn from following me, you or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I gave them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name will I cast out of my sight, and Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people.
So then that proverb and a byword part that's in Deuteronomy 28 is here still showing itself in 1 Kings. So when people decide that they're going to go into Deuteronomy and we're going to debunk Deuteronomy 28, and I need you to add 1 Kings 9 to the list too. Debunk that. Go ahead.
And at this house, which is high, everyone that passes by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss, and they shall say, why has Yahweh done thus unto this land and to this house? And they shall answer, because they forsook Yahweh their El, who brought forth their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have taken hold upon other gods, and have worshipped them and served them. Wherefore has Yahweh brought upon them all this evil.
Right. Being a leader in Israel is a very tumultuous job. Because don't nobody want to hear about what they did wrong. And understand, that's a leader's job. I don't care what that stuff. Now you can look at that stuff that they have on the Trinity Broadcasting Station, and everybody talk nice. Everybody that's all about how rich God wants you to be and all that. You get in this book and start reading any of Yahweh's servants, and every last thing that came out their mouth was difficult. Because they're telling you, hey, look here, you're going to have to straighten up. People want to talk about how much they love Christ. That's because they only deal with one verse at a time. Keep reading that red writing. Have them read that red writing, and all of a sudden they don't like Christ no more. Wait a minute, I thought you said you loved the Lord.
I don't know whose Lord that is. Red look angry.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead.
And it came to pass at the end of 20 years, when Shlomo had built the two houses, the house of Yahweh and the king's house.
Hey, that was a major project. Major project. But at this point, he finished. 20 years. Go ahead.
Now Hiram, the king of Tyre, had furnished Shlomo with cedar trees and fir trees and with gold, according to all his desire. And then King Shlomo gave Hiram 20 cities in the land of Galilee.
20 cities in the land of Galilee come from Hiram's people. Now, I need you to hold your place right there, because sometimes, you'll run into, one of these strange teachings, and you have to acknowledge it. Go to Matthew chapter 4. Now, I don't know if some of you have run into this. If a lot of y'all look at a lot of other videos and things like that. Matthew chapter 4. And I want you to read verses 15 and 16.
The land of Zebulun and the land of Nephthalim, by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles.
Now, Galilee of the Gentiles. Now, if you watch a certain, some of them purple teachers, they claim that this is how the Israelites became Gentiles. They said, see, when he mentioned Galilee of the Gentiles, we are Gentiles. I need for you to understand how that physically happened. Because they take this verse right here. Because if you listen to them, they said we Jews and Gentiles. I said, how the hell are we going to be both? How we both? So that's the scripture that they use, because, in certain places, nobody else can have salvation but a certain group of people. So they said that, anytime they mention Gentiles, they're really talking about us. All right, now read next verse.
The people which sat in darkness saw great light. And to them which sat in the region and shadow of death, light is sprung up.
All right, now go back to where we just came from. 1 Kings chapter 9. Now I need you to start back at verse 11.
Now Hiram the king of Tyre had furnished Shlomo with cedar trees and fir trees.
Now these are all the things that because he was, the contractor to help put the house together. So go ahead. He put a lot of this stuff here. Go ahead.
And with gold, according to all his desire. Then King Shlomo gave Hiram 20 cities in the land of Galilee.
Okay. He gave him 20 cities in Galilee. Go ahead.
And Hiram came out from Tyre to see the cities which Shlomo had given him, and they pleased him not. And he said, what cities are these which you have given me, my brother? And he called them the land of Cabal unto this day. And Hiram sent to the king 60 talents of gold. And this is the reason of the levy which King Shlomo raised, for to build the house of Yahweh, and his own house, and Millo, and the wall of Jerusalem, and Hazor, and Megiddo, and Gezer. For Pharaoh king of Egypt had gone up, and taken Gezer, and burnt it with fire, and slain the Canaanites that dwelt in the city, and given it for a present unto his daughter, Shlomo's wife. And Shlomo built Gezer, and Beth-Haran the nether, and Baalath, and Tabor in the wilderness, in the land, and all the cities of store that Shlomo had, and cities for his chariots, and cities for his horsemen, and that which Shlomo desired to build in Jerusalem and in Lebanon and in all the land of his dominion. And all the people that were left of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, which were not of the children of Israel.
Understand, when it say Gentiles, it is just not dealing with Euro Gentiles. Do understand that. So when he says he gave this man these cities, he has his people in there. Those are not Israelites. So then when you go into, and we says Galilee of the Gentiles, understand it's got a multitude of mix of people in here. But yet now you listen to somebody else's doctrine and then they have turned that into us. That's not us. But you need to know that when that doctrine is thrown at you on the corner. Now, I don't advise trying to overtalk anybody with a megaphone. You are going to lose your voice. All right? Do not try to overtake a megaphone preacher unless you yourself have a megaphone in the trunk. Then y'all can go ahead and y'all can megaphone that thing out. Just go ahead. Come on, brothers, come with it. Yeah, but I'm trying to tell you, you're not going to be able to talk tomorrow. Go ahead.
Their children that were left after them in the land, whom the children of Israel also were not able to utterly destroy, upon those that Shlomo levy a tribute of bond service unto this day. But of the children of Israel did Shlomo make no bondmen, but they were men of war, and his servants, and his princes, and his captains, and rulers of his chariots, and his horsemen.
Now, why is this important? Of the children of Israel, he didn't make these things. Now, this is after he has built the house and his house. But at that point, he has not made a levy onto these people. He's got a crew of workers who, has to pay and has to do all of these things. It says he has not done that unto the children of Israel. Now it gets interesting as you start going forward. Keep going.
These were the chief of the officers that were over Shlomo's work, 550, which bear rule over the people that wrought in the work. But Pharaoh's daughter came up out of the city of David unto her house, which Shlomo had built for her. Then did he build Millo. And 3 times in a year did Shlomo offer burnt offerings and peace offerings upon the altar which he built unto Yahweh. And he burnt incense upon the altar that was before Yahweh. So he finished the house. And King Shlomo made a navy of ships in Ezon Geber, which is beside Elath, on the shore of the Red Sea, in the land of Edom. And Hiram sent in the navy his servants, shipmen that had knowledge of the sea, with the servants of Shlomo.
And people said, oh, we have found evidence of Hebrew all over the earth. The man had a navy. Now they're going to make us from everywhere they landed.
Look, man, we found some stuff in America. That means we had always been here.
Can you say ships? Can you say ships?
No, man, we are the original people of the...
Well, the ship can go anywhere. So how you going to make us from everywhere the ship went? The man has a navy. That's not like one ship. See, a pirate got one ship. He has ships. They're bringing some of the things that's in the temple came by way of the ships. That's why you see some stuff that's exotic. Why? Because it's not native to Israel. He went and got some other stuff. Go get this, man. They ain't seen none of this right here, bro. They ain't seen this. Cause this ain't from here. You go in Shlomo house and be like, hey man, what's that? Yeah, you got to get that from China, brother. You ain't seen nothing like that right there. You ain't seen that right there. So that belief that everywhere they find Hebrew writing saying that people were here, we for some reason will not discuss him having ships and a navy. But we'll give that to those Gentiles and oh, they sailed all around the earth and they did all that. Why you won't give it to him? Or maybe somebody told you not to attribute that to him. Go ahead.
And they came to Ophir and fetched from thence gold 420 talents and brought it to King Shlomo.
Ain't that what the Euro Gentiles went sailing all over the earth and brought back all the goods? Right. But they want to let you think that they the ones started every last bit of that. Interesting how his story works. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11. And read verse 1 through 8. Now it says he's finished the work. The major project. Major project there.
But King Shlomo loved many strange women.
Now see, the problem, what happened when you get through working? Sometimes you start playing when you get, go ahead.
What they say about all work and no play?
Hey, I don't know, brother, but sometimes you need to work some more.
Together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites.
Okay, so he you see what he had a lot of focused energy on building the house. Now that energy is running roughshod. Go ahead.
Of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Shlomo clave unto these in love.
This really explains the difference between servants and fellowshippers. See, fellowshipping is uniting. If 3 years later you still fellowshipping, we got a problem. Servants are bound by bondage of work. They have a duty. A fellowshipper is just uniting. Eventually you're going to have problems out of long-term fellowshippers. Because fellowshipping means your time is your time. I'm here to get. It would make sense if somebody came to visit and they jump from table to table and talk to each person. They fellowshipping. But if 3 years later, they still jumping from table to table. Hey, bro, why don't you wipe that table when you jump from it? See, they don't have the same mindset. A servant has another thought going on in his mind, although he still may be fellowshipping. He's fellowshipping as he's laboring. The fellowshipper think that his fellowship is his labor. Now you have a problem. And the fellowshipper then ends up in their feelings. Shlomo went from servant to fellowshipper because his work got finished. Man, when your work get finished, find something else to work on. Every time somebody get done working, here comes some problem. Go ahead.
And he had 700 wives, princesses.
He had a lot of time on his hands. That is way too much time on your hands right there. Go ahead.
And 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Shlomo was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his El, as was the heart of David his father. For Shlomo went in after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Shlomo did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and went not fully after Yahweh, as did David his father. Then did Shlomo build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon.
Now we have some serious issues with these houses that he's having built for these strange wives, because obviously they can't go and worship where Israel worships. They can't have any of this happening. And then because, he don't want to make a long trip, it ain't like they had, motor bus or nothing like that. They have mass transit. So he wanted that in close proximity. Now we got a problem because, now Yahweh like, now I got to look at this other God house. You going to put this in eye shot of my house? Go ahead.
And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods.
So we have to then look at this whole process. Now, when a man loves a woman and marries her, she becomes a window to his house that he must protect and provide for. When they produce a child, the offspring becomes a smaller window that he must also protect and provide for. If they have another kid, another window is added to this house that he must protect and provide for. He now sees a beautiful woman to whom he adds as a wife. He now has added a large window to his house that he must protect and provide for, and this must be accomplished without removing anything from the previous windows that are already in his house. If you like sleep, don't do it. If you think that you should have your own personal time, don't do it. When a man is single and thinks only of himself, he is indeed selfish, but he is legally selfish. When he adds windows to his house and provides not for those windows, his selfishness has indeed now become sin unto him. Likewise, when a woman brings forth children and doesn't rearrange her life for what is best for the children, her selfishness has also become sin unto her. Let's go to Exodus chapter 21.
My brother, as we're going there, we look at this whole situation of Shlomo building these houses, and you kept stating provide for her or provide for them. You wonder how Shlomo, how he turned his back when you didn't see him go into the house. He's providing for them. They're using the substance that he's providing. They said they were burning incense in the house. How y'all got the incense?
Right. And somehow Israel comes into the play and to play with it, because there's something that Israel says later on that gives you the indication. Because remember, at first it says he didn't levy any tribute among the children of Israel. They had workers. That's the whole thing of this whole Galilee of the Gentiles. You got a whole part that's dealing with the builders of, the houses. So why would Israel be into that? It says that there was no tribute on them. But later on, something else was said. And we're going to have to get to that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 21. I want you to read verses 7 through 11.
And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she please not her master, who has betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he has dealt deceitfully with her. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish.
All right. So if he take him another wife, her food, how she eats, her clothing, how she dresses, her duty of marriage, that's her own special time that she has with her husband, shall not diminish. I don't know how you have enough special time for 1,000 of anything. And when you talk about her duty of marriage, this is the conjugal part of marriage, if you will. This is them coming together. That shall not diminish because you added something else to the house. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Now you got to watch, because Jake kind of slick. So Jake will start taking away beforehand. Hey, come on now. Come on. Y'all, don't laugh. Don't laugh. Y'all know yourselves. You know yourselves. Don't come at me like that. Don't come at me like that. That way y'all can say, no, I gave you exactly what you had before. I remember I started taking it in February. No. Play that game somewhere else. See? And folks like to play them games And then they think Yahweh don't understand that you playing those games. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, let's start at verse 1.
Now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
What is benevolence? That's that special time we were talking about. All right? Now, go ahead.
The wife has not power over her own body,
Okay?
but the husband.
Okay.
And likewise also the husband has not power over his own body, but the wife.
Now, if you got 1,000 people having power over your body, we got some problems. Go ahead.
Defraud you not one the other.
Now, if you got 1,000, somebody being defrauded. There's some fraud going on somewhere. Now, if you don't have such an appetite, a lot of people show up at the buffet, and you know your eyes tell you, oh man, I want this, I want this, I want this. And you know at the end, you be like, damn, bro, that's a whole plate left right there. You didn't eat none. But at the buffet, the eyes said, I want all this. But he couldn't fit. That was too much meal. Right. Go ahead.
Except it be with consent for a time,
Except it be with consent for a time. Go ahead.
that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer.
Now, that means there should not be a separation in your conjugal time with your wife except it be with consent. What that mean? That means that y'all have agreed that there's going to be prayer and fasting happening. But after that prayer and fasting is over, then they're supposed to be coming together again. Go ahead.
And come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency.
Wait a minute. So then, if there's a long pause of situations not happening, Satan is in the midst of that. You got to think about how he come at Yahshua. He comes at Yahshua after the baptism, a man fasting, and he said, turn those stones into bread. Why? At 40 days, he got to be hungry. Now, and what could be more, of a tease than some bread on day 40? Okay. So, if you have defrauded, what you think the devil bringing? I don't care whether it be man or woman. The devil know exactly what you like. If you like something tall, dark, and handsome, that's what the adversary gonna bring. If you like it short, thick, and stubby, that's what he gonna bring. He bringing what you like. All right? But it says right here, oh, no. He's gonna tempt you because he gonna see that opening. And once he see that opening, he gonna put something right there. But then, do we blame Lucifer when that happens? Do we say Lucifer brought forth this? No. How did the door get open? Because he ain't open it. Who left the door open? Can you really say, I know in the country they don't lock their doors a lot of times, stuff like that. And I remember especially growing up in the country, everybody knew everybody, they ain't locked no door, just went to sleep, just closed the door. You can't live like that no more. But if you left that door wide open, how much can you say about what's missing out the house? Before we discuss who might have taken the stuff in the house, we got to have that conversation. How they get in here?
Well, Johnny said when he came down the street, the door was wide open.
Hey, who the last person left out here? Man, did you leave the door open? This we got to discuss. Because the thief didn't break in here. The thief walked in. How Lucifer just walk in here? Somebody left a door open. Go ahead.
When you look at this whole situation of due benevolence, right? He's got 1,000 wives. You got to do benevolence. Let's even say you give everybody a day. There's only 365 days in a year, right?
Yep.
Hold on.
Count it.
You got 365 days.
You got
in a
holy
year.
days. Now
got the holy
you
days
can't do that on that. And
the
you got
Sabbath.
Sabbath. So I'm gonna need you to take out holy days. I need you to take out Sabbath. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I'm getting all in your business.
No,
Let me stop.
we on the same page. We on the same page.
Okay.
You minus them Sabbath. You minus them holy days. How long before you get back around?
Bro, I'm looking at 4 years. I'm looking at 3 right off the rip without taking any other thing away. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at 4 years. Now I remember Judah tried that, and he didn't want to give Tamar the youngest son, so Tamar had to pretend to be a harlot so she can get pregnant before her time passed away. Okay, all right, go ahead, bro.
Verse 6, but I speak this by permission and not of commandment. For I would that all men were even as I myself.
I would that all men were even as myself. Go ahead.
But every man has his proper gift of Elohim, one after this manner and another after that.
Right, because there are some men who have no desire for a woman, and and it doesn't mean that they're gay. They just don't have a desire for a woman. But if you gonna get married, you definitely need to tell that woman if you have no desire, because that ain't nothing she need to find out later on. You know what I'm saying? No, I just thought we'd hang out and play PlayStation. Hell no! I don't want to play no PlayStation. You know that's something you need to have that conversation beforehand. Nobody need to figure out that later on. All right? Go ahead.
I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I.
It's good for them if they abide as I. But everybody does not have that gift. And ain't nothing like pretending that you have a gift that you don't have. Because sooner or later it's going to show. Go ahead.
But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn.
Uh-huh.
And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Adonai. Let not the wife depart from her husband.
Uh-huh.
But and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. But to the rest speak I, not the Adonai. If any brother has a wife that believes not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which has an husband that believes not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
Uh-huh.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy.
Now, if the unbelieving husband can be sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife can be sanctified by the husband, this means at some point somebody has to carry somebody else's sin. How else you think that other person getting sanctified? Somebody got to carry something for somebody. Now you go back to the law of vows. It says that when a husband hears a vow that his wife make, on the day that he hear it, if he knows that it's not right, he must disannul it right then. If he does not take it away on that day, somebody in that house got to deal with it. But he has the power to protect her. He can look at the vow. He can look at whatever it is that comes out of her mouth. Whether it be, doesn't matter how it come out. He can say, no, I do not allow that. She is then forgiven, no matter what she has agreed to. See, sanctification causes some things. See, if a man adds windows, it's something that he has to protect. I can't protect what I don't have jurisdiction over. If I'm going to protect it, I got to be able to have jurisdiction over it. I can't protect something. You say, oh, no, well, you can't come in here. Well, I can't protect that. Go ahead.
But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but Elohim has called us to peace.
Mm-hmm.
For what knoweth you, O wife, whether you shall save your husband? Or how knoweth you, O man, whether you shall save your wife?
Uh-huh. Jump to verse 25.
Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Adonai, yet I give my judgment, as one that has obtained mercy of the Adonai to be faithful. I suppose therefore that this is good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man so to be. Are you bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Are you loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. But and if you marry, you have not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she has not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remains that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passes away. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried cares for the things that belong to the Adonai, how he may please the Adonai. But he that is married cares for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife.
So then we have a difference in direction depending on this situation here. So if a man has a wife, he cares for the things of the world, how he may please his wife. When he is single, he has the ability to be moved about however Yahweh needs for him to. Now, you add a couple more strings to this. Now, you look at what Shlomo got into. At this point, he's trying to appease or please the wives, which then turns around and causes him to have a problem with Yahweh. And he doesn't get one window that he tries to deal with. He has multiple windows that is causing him to go in the opposite direction of Yahweh. This is why you need for your window to be facing Yahweh's house. See, if your window not facing Yahweh's house, you got to look in the other direction to provide and protect for your window, but Yahweh over here. Now you got to provide and protect this window, but the window is in the other direction of Yahweh. So you need a window that's facing Yahweh. See, now I get to protect and provide for the window, and my house still looking at his house. Go ahead, brother.
There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Adonai, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married cares for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that you may attend upon the Adonai without distraction.
Without distraction. So just one window misplaced is a distraction. How much more than 999 more? But if Yahweh places the windows in the direction of his house, none of his work falls to the ground. Go ahead.
But if any man think that he behaves himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age.
Now, are y'all paying attention to what he's talking about? He's talking about married and still being a virgin. It says at this point, if his virgin passed the flower of her age, this is a point where she's able to have children. Then he says, if need so require. Keep reading.
Let him do what he will. He sins not, let them marry.
Now, our first problem is we don't understand what marriage is. He said, wait a minute, they already married. What are you talking about, let them marry? And that's another class. That's another class. But I would hope they would have had a conversation if they've been married all the way to the point and she about to go past the flower of her age, and now they just talking about coming together. I would hope this was a previous discussion. Go ahead.
You know, even before that, she's referred to her as the virgin. He still ain't say they're married. He referred to her as being his virgin. So that means
exactly.
they've made some type of commitment to each other to be with each other, but not in that manner.
Right.
Nevertheless, he that stands steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but has power over his own will, and has so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, does well. So then he that gives her in marriage does well, but he that gives her not in marriage does better.
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 5. Should that be something else? I got something else right here. That can't be right. I think that's Titus. I'm trying to go to. Let me see that. I don't want to get that whole chapter here. It's 1 Timothy. Why it ain't in this book? I just want to get 5 and 8. It's in 1 Timothy 5. I'm in 2nd. So go to 1 Timothy 5.
Yeah, that's where we're at, 1 Timothy. First Timothy chapter 5.
Yep. All right, go ahead. Start at verse 1.
Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren, the elder women as mothers, the younger as sisters, with all purity. Honor widows that are widows indeed. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home and to requite their parents, for that is good and acceptable before Elohim.
Right, but when you tell people that, hey, you need to, teach this child some discipline. Hey, you need to, create some kind of boundary for the kid, then people come at you and get angry with you. Go ahead.
Now she that is a widow indeed and desolate, trust in Elohim, and continues in supplications and prayers night and day. But she that lives in pleasure is dead while she lives. And these things give in charge, that they may be blameless. But if any provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel.
What is an infidel? An infidel is a non-believer. If the person that does not provide for his house is worse than an infidel, then he's worse than a non-believer. Then now you got to go back when they say, well, wait a minute. It say if the unbelieving depart. Wait a minute. We have to deal with something. The more situations you have added, you have put yourself in a situation. It says if you do not these three unto her, she shall go out free. Do you understand the situation that you get? It is important that you understand something before you make a move. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Let not a widow be taken into the number under 80 years old, having been the wife of one man, well reported of for good works, if she have brought up children, if she have lodged strangers, if she have washed the saints' feet, if she have relieved the afflicted, if she has diligently followed every good work. But the younger widows refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanton against the Mashiach, they will marry, having damnation, because they have cast off their first faith. And withal, they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers also and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not.
So what happened? They don't have the right things to tend to, and when they start getting busybodies, now here come all these other situations. You ever wonder how, where all the people who have issues, where they be gathering at? Because they all end up somehow having a conversation with each other. Oh, them conversations going back and forth. But what's happening? They ain't busy doing nothing. They busy tattling. They busy with their mouth. Slow-mo gets into trouble when he finished the work. While he was working, none of this took place. It's when he was finished. Here, you got too much time at the home of these women and what they doing with that time. Go ahead.
I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guard the house, give non-occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully.
You give an occasion to the adversary. He waits and he finds that idle time, and then he gets off in your mind with it. Go ahead.
You know what's interesting? Guide the house.
Right. So if they guiding the house, somebody else providing for the house. But then be careful, because sometimes, people will still fuss at you for providing for the house because you ain't there to guide it. But I can't provide and guide. Somebody got to do one while somebody else do the other. If I provide, somebody guide. Now we can decide that we won't be, we want to have 4 or 5 houses and we both provide, but then who guiding? Now they guiding themselves. Go ahead.
For some are already turned aside after Satan. If any man or woman that believes have widows, let them relieve them, and let not the church be charged, that it may relieve them that are widows indeed. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine.
So then this goes back in dealing with the rulers of your people. So they're giving this to them because they don't have a law. So they're giving them a way to walk in the law without giving them the law. Go ahead.
For the scripture says, you shall not muzzle the ox that treads out the corn, and the laborer is worthy of his reward. Against an elder receive not an accusation, but before 2 or 3 witnesses.
So there's certain things when it was said, a whole lot of people should have stopped it right at that point. And said, no, let's go and have this conversation. Why? Because this individual has labored in the work. No, we're not going to have secret communication here. Let's go. It should have started. If it started on Monday, it should have been done by Tuesday. But you find things that drug out for a year and a half. How did it drag out for a year and a half? Because people let it drag out. If we were following our instructions as soon as it was received, no, come on, let's take care of this business. That's how you stop that tattling and running from house to house talking. That's how you stop it. No, he right there. No, don't call me later on when we leave. No, he right there. Let's have a conversation right now. You here, he here, they here, we here. Let's do it. I don't know if the situation will get handled, but I know one thing. They ain't going to call you no more. I can tell you what they ain't going to do. They ain't going to call you no more. Go ahead.
Them that sin rebuke before all, that others also may fear. I charge you before Elohim and the Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach and the elect angels that you observe these things without preferring one before another, doing nothing by partiality. Lay hands suddenly on no man, neither be partaker of other men's sins. Keep yourself pure. Drink no longer water, but use a little wine for your stomach's sake and your often infirmities. Some men's sins are open beforehand, going before to judgment, and some men they follow after.
Some men's sins are open beforehand, and you are able to see those things. Sometimes we look at something and we think it might be better. If some men's sins are open beforehand, going before to judgment, we might end up looking at a situation and say, man, that brother always into something. But here's the problem. Some men they follow after. that means they have not gone into judgment for any of those things. So maybe they appear to be more righteous than they are. The individual who looks like they may be getting into trouble, they're getting those situations dealt with. The individual who thinks that they're slick or that are not getting caught because every time something come up, they got a slick lie to get themselves out of it. They actually have more to deal with on the back end. So the one who you looking at who you think in trouble, they walking through the gates. And Mr. Smooth Lie Talker is sitting there gathered with the wood to be burned. But it didn't look like they was into no trouble. It looked like they skated right through. Right. Their sins didn't come. And it's actually a blessing that your sins are brought to the table so that they can be dealt with now and not dealt with after. If they are dealt with after, you going in the fire. Go ahead, bro.
Likewise, also the good works of some are manifest beforehand, and they that are otherwise cannot be hid.
All right. So if one of the things that we have to consider later on in the Kings and things of that nature, when it talks about, especially when after Shlomo died and his son is getting ready to rule, and they said, the children of Israel said, your father laid a heavy yoke upon us. Make our yoke lighter and we will follow you. What yoke were they talking about? Because what we read, those first 20 years, it says he didn't put a levy on them. He didn't do any of those things. So when did the yoke get heavy? Oh, when he starts building these houses for these other wives. So it is absolutely a situation that you can't furnish your house and feed from another man's vineyard. If he's taking these substances out of Yahweh's house, because Israel is Yahweh's wife. So he took substance from Yahweh's wife to provide houses for his own. Now we got a problem. The key thing in going through all of this, not one thing started until he stopped working. Make sure you never finish. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.